So happy Friday, everyone. It's Greg Dixon from Shared Visions Unlimited Publishing and Marketing. And today I'm going to talk about billboards, branded billboards for building business. So you're probably all familiar with billboards. You on the highways and the roads, the side of buildings, all sorts of things. You may think it's an eyesore, a crime against humanity, or something more fun than that. So I'm going to talk about a few things, including one of the most interesting billboards on the Highway 90 in South Dakota for wall drugs. But I'm also going to talk about billboards as being something in the digital world that's it can be as simple as a splash screen, a poster, any of those things. I consider those all to be billboards. They present you and your brand. I built an article here, and this just to take a quick look there. Yeah. So here, and this here is I'm going to give you an example. This is I consider this to be a kind of a post a billboard. It's a splash screen that I made in Photoshop. You do create these things in almost any way you want. Canva. I tend to get images from Pixabay. You can get there are lots of AI tools to generate these things. Anyway, I got me looking slightly demented there, and that's a kind of billboard. So just to let you know, one of the things I teach in my marketing is a power posting, and that involves a little image like this, and that goes in and SEO friendly titles and descriptions. And so what that ends up with is when you post something and people search, I'm going to search here, is these little images show up. So this is Greg Dixon marketing, and it's mostly it's going to show up the videos here. These little thumbnails, however, splash screens show up, and often those are the things that show your branding and entice people to come and take a look at your stuff. And in terms of if you go to a YouTube channel, that's especially true. Let's see here. Can you see that? Yeah. So there are a bunch of these live streams here. This is one we did this morning with Judy Herman, and then a couple of these we've done in the last while. This one here, we got like 4,000 views of this on LinkedIn, which is pretty darn amazing. And again, all these are little. This is a bit of a blast from the past. Authentic, various things. My YouTube channel is like a archaeological dig about everything I've done in the last since 2005, really, when I started it. So there we go. Yeah, if I ever want to trace back my life, I can go back to my YouTube channel. So anyway, the other thing I want to talk about you is these billboards, physical billboards. So let's see here. So we were better share this tab. Okay, we're not showing the tab. So we I was driving. I volunteered to drive my brother-in-law's household goods in a U-Haul from Vancouver to Chicago, and I was driving down Highway 90. And I stopped off to visit a cousin in Missoula, Montana, and he said to me, "says Well, be sure to stop at Wall Drugs when you go through South Dakota. You can't miss it." And it's true, you cannot miss it. Um, Almost at the uh, Montana, South Dakota border, you start seeing posters like this one here. It says only 5 cents, hot coffee, Wall Drug, and that's truth in advertising. You can buy coffee at Wall Drug for 5 cents, and it's like the worst church coffee you've ever had. You know, they probably put it in a 200 cup urn, a couple scoops of coffee. It's more or less colored water, but it's fun. But then they have these billboards here. This is probably really old, like this one, 291 miles to Wall Drug. Um, Free ice and water, Wall Drug. Got these cartoons and their ice cream. This is right there, pretty much. Homemade ice cream, bus unloading. Um, Wall Drug, a national treasure. There we go. A cowboy orchestra, all sorts of fun stuff. You got a dinosaur thing. Really, cowboy up, buckles, belts, Wall Drug. Let's see, ice water. Let's go back. Okay, this is. I think this is probably where this started. So they had it was in the town was called Wall, and there was a little shop in there. This is sort of at the tail end of the Depression, and they were selling probably ice water, and they were sitting there, and people were going through on the highway, and nobody was stopping. And so I don't know who's what, the husband or the wife, somebody had it says, "Well, I'm going to make a bunch of signs and to go out on the highway." So he made a bunch of signs. Um, Put them in the back of the truck, went out, drove up the highway, putting these signs up on the highway. And anyway, when he got back, there's a lineup out there, like a whole pile of people are stopped in getting, I'm assuming it was the ice water or whatever it was. Anyway, that just led to building up their business. And if you like now here, for example, in Waldorf, they got a bit of everything. They've got a photo shop, they've got a cowboy goods store, they've got a big cafeteria, all sorts of things. And I would say when I was last time I was in here, they had the a very large selection of exotic cowboy boots. You sort of like alligator, almost anything you can think of that you can make a boot out of they had. And I asked how many pairs they had, and they said they had 5,000 pairs. So it's just really, really incredible. And the other fun thing is, where was the sign up here before? Um, 291 miles to Wall Drug. I think the first sign I saw coming from years later, I was driving, come down through Vermont and came through uh, New York State, and I'm pretty sure it was in New York State. I saw a sign. I don't know how many miles. It's probably more like 500 miles to Wall Drug. And if you go into the drugstore, they have a room there. They've got a collection of people. It's become a habit. People would go and they would take maybe a poster or a photo of Wall Drug, and then they would hold it up and say, there's one from Antarctic, 3,965 miles to Wall Drug, and it's just fun. Anyway, if you're ever driving through North Dakota, and just stop by, you can't miss it. Really can't miss it. It's worth the stop. One of the little best chocolate bars I ever bought in my life was in the little pharmacy there. So it's pretty amazing. Let's see what else is here. Homemade pie, something to crow about. They've had a lot of fun with this, and so drop on by. It's not the only thing in South Dakota. South Dakota is a surprisingly interesting state. It has in addition to Wall Drug, it has the Mount Rushmore, and Mount Rushmore is there. The Crazy Horse Monument, the film set for Dances with Wolves, and the historic homestead of Little House on the Prairie, Laurel Ingalls Wilder. It's really the Black Hills and Badlands. So really, South Dakota has a lot going on for sure. And so really is this example is by putting up a few signs here and there, they were able to take a business from firstly nothing to now the whole town is more or less an expansion of the drugstore. It's like a sort of a shopping mall, all sorts of stuff there. And one of the signs there said it had parking for buses. They've got a parking lot for like semi trailers and buses and tour buses, all sorts of things. Pretty big stuff. So but I want to bring it down to you and your business. So I originally showed you a little splash image that I use for any posts or video, and that idea, so it's kind of small, is that an extension, another version of that splash image could be a postcard, and a postcard is something you can mail out to people, where it has something appealing on the front and then some information on the back, maybe a QR code to go into your special offer, to go do whatever you want. And something like that can be put up on bulletin boards at coffee shops, libraries, and places like that, advertising something. I'm going to start a new challenge next week. It's called a family story, your family story challenge, and we're going to encourage people to capture your family information, memoir stuff. Maybe it's your information, maybe it's your parents or your uncles or your grandparents, somebody, maybe it's your whole family. So I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to use that locally. I'm going to go create postcards and put them up in bulletin boards, invite them to get involved with the challenge, and eventually I'll probably do some speaking on this locally in the little town. We live in a town of Merritt, population 7,000. It's about 3 hours drive from Vancouver, British Columbia. Kind of fun. If you ever come through, drop on by. We'll go have some donuts at Kukuli. So, okay. So the other thing I want to say about this, what do I want to say about it? Oh yeah. So that's those are print, and I would say even a business card is a kind of is a mini poster. A little business card is somebody you can hand out, and it summarizes what you do and a way of contacting you. The postcard does that, and then you might think about posters, maybe put something on the side of your car. The whole thing is to get these things out there somewhere. There's a restaurant in Merritt here where somebody, it's kind of brilliant, is I guess they sold sponsorship for the table. So it's a wood table, but they've got logos and a little ads embedded into the table, and it's got like a veneer over top of it, a lacquer, and it's really quite effective. So in terms of your marketing, how can you get the word out? Bonnie and I spent some time in Texas trying to sell our signs. They were mostly plastic signs that were lit up, but we also could sell some digital signs where you program it. And you're probably familiar with that. If you've ever driven across Canada or North America, you've probably come across some gigantic digital sign advertising usually a casino or a hotel or something, and you really can't miss it. So that's the thing, is that and many of those things are really just an extension, is that your little splash screen that you might use for your page, it's a bigger version of it that you put up on a digital billboard. Many businesses, commercial places, coffee shops will give you space on a video screen where you can have your message scrolling on there and displaying your stuff. The whole idea here is to get your brand, your message, your offer out everywhere, both online, digital, and online and outside, physical, small signs, posters, postcards, all that kind of stuff. And if I can help you with all of that, I'm multimedia for a reason here. I've done almost all of that stuff. We tried to sell signs. We've gone out and I've done tons of posters and tons of postcards, business cards, and I do these digital things daily. Pretty much every time I do a blog post, I'll create some kind of image for it. And if I create a video, it's going to be an image for it. All those things, they call it a splash screen, but really they're little digital billboards, and they put out your branding. So if you need some help, I've got a website, sharedvisions.com/billboards. There's a link in there. You can send a note in the chat if you want to talk to me about what you want to do, how you want to get the word out about what you do, and we'll go from there. So anyway, from there on, happy Friday. And here's a bit of trivia I learned at Mount Rushmore is the vanilla ice cream was invented by Thomas Jefferson. So I got a Thomas Jefferson vanilla ice cream at Mount Rushmore And this is quite a couple of decades ago for $7.88 US. Pretty expensive stuff. Anyway, that's just a bit of trivia. Pop on by. Talk to you later.